Welcome in to Innovative Strategies. It's that time. We've got a full house. Well, virtually a full house, but it's a great time to have a virtual full house, Bill, because of what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome in, brother. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks, Kent. I don't know what happened to that 12 inches of snow we were supposed to get, where we canceled schools. You canceled Donut Day at the office.
At the office because of the storm. Yeah.
Because of the big storm. That's not happening now, which is fine.
Right.
Good stuff. But I've been super excited. I talked about this last week a little bit at the beginning of my show about because I'm just so excited about this. What we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
My guest, and you all know Deb Dietz, my partner with MetaEd Partners, and she is also the founder and CEO owner of SMB Partners.
Yep.
And she, along with Ram Gayoso, the head of Futures Television and many other things, are joining us today because I'm helping support what they're spearheading to be this amazing virtual conference in 6 Latin American countries, in 3 languages, over 4 days, and the premise of this is to help the underprivileged.
Yeah.
So I want them. They're spearheading it. I want them to explain what's going on, so I don't do it incorrectly. But Ram, Deb, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I'm excited because I know I'm in touch with you almost daily, Deb, and Ram, less than daily, but I'm still not caught up on everything going on. So I'm excited to learn everything going on so I can catch up and be of greater support to you. But, tell us what's going on. VC LatinX 2023 conference. What's this all about?
Well,
Who wants to start?
I can say a few words if you'd like. So VC is about venture capitalism. So this conference is about business, about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. And we're focusing on women and minorities. So we want to help those people who didn't have a chance before to get started. And my partner here is Deb Dietz, and she's very passionate about education. She's very passionate about financial education, and she's very passionate about advancing and empowering women. So we got together and decided to do this.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for having us. We're delighted to be here. And it's really interesting in the work that Ram and I do together. We pay attention to trends and what's happening in business and with small business owners, and we do research and analysis, and we're always looking for ways of adding value. And one of the most, I think, obvious data point over the course of the last 3 years is this boom in entrepreneurship, right? So we've had so many people with the pandemic and with the Great Resignation, many people joining the ranks of business ownership, and many of those new business owners are women. But we also know, and one of the sobering statistics is that many of those businesses ultimately will fail. And, Bill, you talk a lot about, the necessity to have a plan, right? That everybody needs, their starting point is to have a plan. Critically important, certainly. But if you don't implement and execute your plan, then that's certainly certainly a cause for why these businesses ultimately fail. And then when Ram and I started digging down into some of the rationales for the failures, we find that the number one reason is lack of funding, that these women and minorities simply just don't have access to the financial capital. And so, and then if you dig down even deeper, started looking at other groups, other minority groups that include the Latinas, LGBTQ, Asian, Black, Brown communities, that they face those same situations with lack of funding. And if you're a double minority, it's even less. So we looked at each other and said, instead of just talking about it, let's do something about it. And so that's why we created the conference.
I love that because that's a big proponent for me. Let's stop sitting around bitching and moaning about what's going on and get off your butt. Let's do something about this. Right. And you and I are about to embark on spending, a few $1 million building a business and trying to help all people learn, financial literacy and entrepreneurship. And you're right. Building a plan is the most important thing, but you still have to execute it. and that's so important. But I want to get to the meat of this. This is I love that it's for the underprivileged, and but there's so much more going on here. It's not just this is a free conference to attend. Correct? Anybody in the world can attend this for free. Am I correct?
Yes, exactly. So that's part of what we're doing. And the idea is, hey, if we can extend education, knowledge, awareness to the most amount of people possible, or to the most amount of people we can, that is what is going to bring change. We want to bring education, we want to bring financial literacy, we want to bring, entrepreneurship education, strategic planning, a slew of different things, because we want to enable these people. We want them to succeed. And we have the tools and the knowledge and the people who can help them. And that's why we're doing this. We want to do something about it, concrete action, not just mouth about it.
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about the 4-day program is, we've put together this arsenal, and we call it an arsenal. It's a powerhouse of subject matter experts on all kinds of business management topics that include, communications, finance, leadership, marketing, process and operations. It's just this powerhouse of experts who are being incredibly gracious and working very hard to present their topics to our audience. And so our audience can be anywhere in the world that can take advantage of all this expertise. And the fact that it's being conducted in 3 different languages, in Portuguese, Spanish, and English, just opens up the world to us, quite frankly. And people can take advantage of the speakers. The speakers are also developing online education, online courses, so people can listen to the presenters, but they can also learn how to implement and execute what they've heard from those speakers. So it becomes very practical, very very important that we're actually teaching them the fundamental skills, actually.
And you're looking at something in the neighborhood of like 300 plus courses, classes. Am I correct?
We've got we've got about 60 presenters.
There's
right now.
60 presenters now?
Well, Bill, well, the conference was 3 days, and then we had to add another day. And now, people are knocking at the door asking us to, increase yet another day. But we just don't have the capacity because it's already 4 days, 9 hours a day, 36 hours. It's a marathon. So we said,
Right.
well, there's so much we can do. But you know what, Bill? The people that come to us, they come with their stories, with their needs, with their wants, and they say, well, I too want that. I want access to this. I want you to help me become more successful. So there's so many different communities and people outside of the country that want to get this amount of education we can provide. And we said, well, we'll get to you one step at a time. So Deb and I have been working around the clock to make sure we service all these people, the people who want to become successful, but so far didn't have the tools to become successful.
Well, I understand there's already plans about doing future conferences and in different parts of the world. And I know that you have touched every corner of the world thus far with just this one going forward. How about telling us a little bit, though, about some of the amazing speakers that you have coming on to help make this the amazing event that it is?
We've got like I said, the arsenal of experts. So we've got Kelly Keller. Kelly is an attorney. She's going to instruct and speak on the topic of due diligence and what new business owners need to know about the legalities of incorporating a business and what all that looks like. We've got folks that are specializing in finance for the small business owner. We're talking about culture. We've got Diana Murphy. She's an expert in culture. What is the mindset of a CEO, because a lot of what we find is that you have to have the right mindset in order to be successful in business. And so that's really important. And, Ram's doing, a course also in scenario planning. I'm doing one in strategic planning. We've got someone doing course in social media marketing, and the list is very broad and very deep.
Well, and you've got keynote speakers. Who are some of those?
The ones we can announce, because we have many more surprises to come. But Deb found a fantastic person. Deb, why don't you speak a little bit about your time at NABO, what NABO is, and who our speaker is?
Absolutely. No, thank you for that, Rama. I'm very, very excited. We have the former president of NABO Chicago, Elizabeth Colon. Elizabeth she is a Latina woman, very successful business owner here in the Chicago area. Her business is a translation services company, and she was the president of NABO Chicago when I was a member of the board, and she is one of our keynotes. So she's going to talk about the Latina culture and the culture as it relates to women entrepreneurs, Latina women entrepreneurs. And she's going to talk about the impact of the culture on their success. She's also, because she's been president of the biggest chapter of a national organization, has a lot to teach and instruct on in the areas of leadership. So she's going to, and it's really interesting.
Let's fill people in on what NABO is.
National Association of Women Business Owners.
Yeah.
So it's a national organization of women that gather. They're all business owners, and it's a membership organization. And so we all support each other. We all support each other in our efforts. And there's a strong educational component that is really targeted towards women entrepreneurs.
Okay, and there's others. I know there's conversations. With other keynote speakers, and I think the plate is full, at least for guest speakers. But what else do we have going on? How many, so how much room is there available out there? How many people can actually attend this event? Because it's gone worldwide. You've got watch parties, right, all over the world that come in, and maybe you can explain a little bit of that, and then we'll talk about how many people we can actually or you can actually handle.
Yeah, I think that the watch parties were Deb's idea, and it's fantastic. So we have people, especially outside the country, where the internet isn't so good, where they don't have the right equipment, or for one reason or another, or they like to build communities. So the idea is they will get together. We will put an event on Eventbrite, which is just a regular platform, and invite people to congregate and associate. They can watch the conference in their own languages, and then they can have a talk around it, or they can get together. They can build some networking. So that's one of the things we're trying to do with the watch parties. And this is, Deb's way of how can we extend this knowledge and this education to people who traditionally would not have access or so easily have access to that. And I really commend Deb for having.
Well, thank you for that, because it's interesting too, because everything's digital. It's a virtual conference, so through the use of technology. And so one of the things that when Ram and I were planning this, we thought we want to make it as accessible, the accessibility to all the education, open to all. And there are certainly those that are in the Latin American countries, and then beyond that live in remote areas. I think one of the stories Ram shared with me is there's a women farmer in rural Mexico. She wants to grow her business, and so, but she's in a remote or rural area of Mexico. And we thought, a lot of the folks that could really benefit from the education just don't have access to the technology. So we thought, plus there's also the component of that feeling of isolation that a lot of women business owners, when they're starting out, and they're brand new entrepreneurs, there's an incredible feeling of loneliness and isolation. And so that also became part of the thinking about how can we, work to expand the reach and allow some of these women and minorities to gather together, come to a common place, and they can then build that sense of community with each other. And then after the program is over for that day, they can then network with each other. And so that was something that we thought would be very meaningful to people. And by doing the watch parties, it opens up our ability to reach and teach an audience that is, that surpasses Latin America.
All right, well, this is all great stuff. So kind of give us the meat of this, and then we'll first of all, how many people are there expected to attend just on the 6, and tell us, what are the 6 countries?
Oh, Countries are Argentina, Colombia, Portugal, Spain, Mexico, and Brazil.
So those are chapters, Bill. We have people in those specific countries, and they join the conference, and they are the chapter, presidents. And what exactly do they do? Is they congregate the people in their respective countries. They help us set together the watch parties. They invite the keynote speaker, or bring other speakers and people who wants to build a network, and women who wants to become more successful. So they're a very, very big, important key to our success. And I would like to address your question. I don't think we did, but so the platform is vFairs, and it runs on Amazon servers. So we go in increments of 10,000. So the administrator told me, when you go above 50,000 people, we may need to have a talk. But until then, you're good.
Yeah, I do understand. We're preparing that for that. And before I want to discuss the details of the what's going to happen and the processes. I want to point out we're putting up on our screen here shortly how you can register, because anyone in the world can register for this event. Is that correct?
For this free event. And so I would like to add, not only is the event free, right? You can register for free, but here we have a surprise. Thanks, that was actually Deb's idea. She said, well, what if we can help people get their continuing education credits while they register for the conference? And what if we can make it free? So that's how far we're working. So we got people to have their CEU credits while attending our conference for free. All they need to do is to register. And again, the registration is free. So they're securing their CEU credits, for free for the year. And then we have other surprises. We have a job fair. So people who are looking for a job, and so not necessarily an entrepreneur, but someone who is looking for a job, they can go to our, exhibitors area, and they will find a job fair. So, people will be posting, jobs, and they will be posting their resumes. They can talk to the exhibitors. So we really want to help people accomplish. Some people are more entrepreneurs in mind, and others just want some little nudge, and they want a little bit more knowledge while they're waiting. They are building this knowledge, and that's why the courses are there, to help feel more comfortable, secure more knowledge and skills, and then they will launch. But meanwhile, they can be working for somebody else within an innovation hub, for example, or for one of the entrepreneurs who are there. So they get a little bit of taste of it until they're ready to fly on their own.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So you're not only going to help folks understand financial literacy in business, mindset in business, the entrepreneurial, steps to developing and building and being successful in a business, but you're also offering an opportunity at job fairs to get into business with somebody else where they can grow within that. Am I correct? And do I understand there will also be some types of people there, like angel or VCs as well? People who might invest in businesses or at least if they can't invest in the business, maybe they help them understand what processes you have to go through in order to approach an angel investor or VC, venture capitalist, to acquire funds.
Absolutely. That is a great question. There are, when we started putting our plan together, we started thinking about the service model of what do we want. We certainly want to provide the access to the education, but ultimately we want to be able to support these entrepreneurs to ultimately prepare themselves to get in front of a panel of angel investors. And so when we started building the model, we looked at providing 4 different levels of service. Because this is, we are here to serve. That's certainly the mission and passion of what we're doing. And so the thinking was, and I think Ram just touched on it here about, there are going to be people that are more further down the road that have, they've got their plan, they've put their, pitch together. We will facilitate an introduction to a panel of angel investors. So if they're ready to fly, we'll help facilitate their ability to connect with those investors. For those who just need the refresher, we're saying, come in, sit and listen to, it's free conference, come and listen to all these speakers, to refresh your knowledge. Maybe it's been a while, and then there are those that, because a lot of the speakers they're talking in 25-minute increments. and they're going to talk about their topics. But again, the critical success factor here is their ability to learn how to actually do what they're going to hear the speakers speak about. So that's where the online courses come into play. So people may listen to, a talk about strategic planning, and then and then they can say, gee, that's really interesting, but how do I actually build a strategic plan? And then they can click into the learning management system and actually take the course. So, and in the course, the courses are very how to step by step, teaching you how to do it. And so that's really, really important. And then there may be those that say, you know what, I have a great idea for an app, but I don't want to go through all that. Can you help me? Yes, we can. So there'll be that individual, consulting type of service as well. So wherever people are, and that's what I love about the service model, is wherever people are on their entrepreneurial journey, either some more sophisticated, some just thinking about it, there's something we can serve them, we can support them.
Okay, I believe Kent wants to chime in here.
Yeah, just I find this absolutely fascinating, and what a way to change the world, right? I mean, make such a big difference. Now, with this, I am logged in, right? I registered and I logged in, and then I've got to go pick my kid up from school or run to the market or do whatever. Do I have to re-register, or does that registration give me all 4 days and all hours?
It does. So what happens with the registration is the following. All that we are collecting is people's first name, last name, their email address, and their country. Why is that? For privacy reasons, because the conference is worldwide. So the European Union has specific rules concerning privacy, the US, California, the UK. But once you give VFairs this information, so they recognize your IP address, so you don't have to come back and re-register. You just go in. So instead of the button showing as register, it just says log in, and it logs you through. So you don't have to go through the process time and time again.
Nice. And I think that's important, because I think a lot of times when it's a virtual summit or something like that, if you get kicked out, all you got to do is just come back here, is what you're saying.
Right. Even if your internet went down or something. But and I presume you would take the Portuguese courses and
see.
That would be the Spanish one. But okay.
I think Portuguese.
But let's get into the meat of this. So what can somebody expect? They register. It comes May 23rd, because this event is May 23rd, through May 26th inclusive. What can I expect? I click on, it's 9 a.m. The show's about to start. What am I looking at?
So we do the opening, so we welcome people, and then we start with the keynotes. So that's what's going to set the tone for the conference. And then we get into slots of 25-minute presentations, and those are topic specific. So for example, we have someone who's going to come in and talk about, how to build your pitch deck, how to present. And then, I believe Deb mentioned Kelly Keller, who is an attorney. She's going to talk about what the due diligence package. So, there are very specific topics. So what you can expect is to look at this as a buffet, and you walk into the buffet and there are several options. So sometimes people say, well, but I'm here only for the crab legs, so I'll go for the crab legs. I'm here for the veggies. I'm going to go to the veggie. I just want dessert. I want ice cream, that and that. So the people who know what they want, right? So they say, you know what? I want to hear people talk about communications. I want to hear people talk about strategy. Oh, that's sections 1, 3, and 5. I want to hear people talk about, social media marketing. That's sections 8, 9, and 10.
I want everything in a buffet.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, then you a little bit of
I get the understanding that, because the way the conference will flow is you're building one speaker upon another, and the next, like, it steps to the building and the understanding of building a business, or understanding of financial literacy, that in of itself is so incredibly important to the world. But it's geared more towards the business. I understand that, but that still helps people understand quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, and what I marvel at for your team is that, it's not just a bunch of Americans doing that. I mean, you guys are country specific, because how business and money works in Portugal may be a little different than Brazil, right?
Well, I mean, money is money. Money is a driving factor in our lives in many, many different ways. There are different regulations. There's currency fluctuations, interest rate fluctuations, economies, scales of economies, and things of that nature. Yeah. But if you get the gist of understanding how money works, you can adjust that to any kind of scenario. However, you've got countries like Venezuela in here that could have historically have had up to 100% fluctuations in their currency in any given day.
Right.
So that is challenging.
Thanks, crypto.
I would like to add a parenthesis here. You mentioned Venezuela. So we are working with two different communities. So one community are the Venezuelans in exile, and they asked us to form a community for them. So I'm not talking about the people sitting in power in Venezuela, rather the people who are refugees, those who are displaced. They too want to become successful. They too want to be innovators. They too want financial literacy in English, and they want to talk about dollars, right? So they want to learn. And there's over 1 million displaced Venezuelans in Colombia. There is over 500,000 in Mexico. There's a few 100,000 in Spain proper. So we're forming a community just for them, so that they can congregate, they can get together, and they get access to the best, trainers, speakers, and professors we could get in the U.S. So we're gonna get U.S. level education stuff that you and I get here, extended to them for free. So we will tend to this community, and we had communities of other displaced people that came to us, and we were working very, very hard to try to put together something that will extend all this wonderful knowledge that we created in the U.S., extended to them as well. So we're working very hard. So more displaced communities will come online, and we'll mention them as we can.
And not to make this even sound more incredible, but I know there's another factor to this, and there's the opportunity for a scholarship. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We recognize that, the conference itself is free. The online courses are not. But they're certainly, economically priced. I'll say that. But there are going to be those that are, that is still an issue. And so we're hoping to offer scholarships. We're working with many of our sponsors who are willing to offer scholarships for some people who maybe those that are in more remote areas, whatever it happens to be, their circumstances. And so we will be making scholarships available to those that really need it. And so that's, again, trying to, be as inclusive as possible. And that's why, this is starting to kind of, grow and grow and grow, is because we want to reach as many people as we can. We want to support as many people and set them up for success and try to make it easy for them, as easy as possible for them to participate.
So Bill, I wanted to add something here. So people don't think about this, but in order to be successful, the small entrepreneur needs to reproduce whatever the big business has. So it needs to be in someone who understands marketing, someone who understands social media, someone who understands strategic planning. So very sophisticated skills, right? But it usually is just the same person who's going to be the janitor and the CEO, right? But what are we trying to do is the following. So we get all those skills combined. And when we go abroad, in some of those areas are people who are disadvantaged. So, for example, communities of women who are working in Argentina. But if you look at the exchange rate in Argentina, they can't afford. Even if you make it, $50, they cannot afford it because of the exchange rate and 1,000% inflation. So that's why the scholarships are there, because we identify people in communities who need this knowledge, who will greatly benefit from this knowledge, but absolutely cannot pay for that. So the scholarships are here because there's a lot of people with beautiful and wonderful, warm hearts here who say, you know what, I'm going to help, this community that has a specific need. So it will enable 10 women in the countryside of Argentina to do this, and women in Bolivia to do that. So that's why the scholarships are there. Because when Deb and I sat down, we said, well, how can we extend this to the most amount of people, but yet we have to pay the professors, the course instructors, we have, to pay our bills as well. So let's find a way where we can take the knowledge, spread it around, yet we still pay the instructors, and we get this possibility, wonderful possibility of someone who has a warm heart to help others who will greatly benefit from that, but yet they cannot pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's my understanding that the cost of the courses is less than a typical cost of one book for one class. Because those big thick books that we're supposed to go through as we go through school. But I like it. So, helping people understand how to build a business. I call it, in my world, we call that building a foundation, building a repeatable actions. To when you build that business, it's you have to have a solid foundation, and you have to know how to build that. Right. And then you need to know how to make it repeatable. Right. And that's what a lot of folks miss out on. Okay, I can come up with an idea. I think it's a great idea. But now what do I do with it? Now where do I go? But are you going to have availability for people to meet with speakers at some point?
So Deb, why don't you talk a little bit about the roundtables?
Absolutely. So there, part of the experience, because this is an experience. So, if you think about to take one of the 4 days. So to Ram's point, we start the day with, there will be, a welcome, and then there are the keynote presenters, and then the speakers in those 25-minute blocks. But also in the conference each day is certainly the job fair. People can, kind of, skip a session if they're not interested in that topic, and go and visit, the job fair, go visit the exhibit hall. But we're also hosting a series of networking roundtables. And so there are specific topics of interest that we've already identified. And so we're already creating these roundtables that are, quite frankly, topic specific, if you will. So there's going to be talking about things like Generation Z, and the challenges of, the new and emerging, young people entering the workforce. So that's a topic of interest to a lot of people. There's the aging workforce population. So on the flip side of the young, folks coming into the job market, there are those that are aging out of and maybe considering entrepreneurship. We're talking about, the impact of indigenous peoples. We're talking about special needs. And so there are going to be facilitators of these roundtables. And so the people that are in that roundtable have the ability to interact directly with that facilitator / instructor. Plus, so that's during the event. And then if those individuals are actually purchasing a course, they will have the ability to interact directly with the course creator, that instructor, while they're inside the learning management system of the course. So they have the ability to certainly consume and take advantage of the actual how-to education, but then they can actually reach out directly to that instructor for one-on-one coaching if they would like that additional support.
That's incredible.
Wait. There's more. So we do have
more. Wait, there's more?
There's more.
There's more. So we have a partner, a very special partner of ours. It's called Ngomo. Ngomo is an app, and they bring an army of coaches, and they work in wellness and work and, in spiritual situations. So if you are stressed and you need someone to support you, so the Ngomo coaches will help you with that. So they have specific coaching communities, so you can interact asynchronously. So you can go into a coaching community and talk about, how I'm feeling stressed, or I need help with financial literacy, or I need help with this, that, or the other. You interact with the coaches in the communities, and if you need more help, there's one-on-one as well. So it's not just the speakers and the courses. So there's training, there's speakers, but there are real coaches in there who want to make you successful. So, and there's a variety of ways, either watching the video, or interacting and asking questions, or coming or using the app and going to online communities. We have an online community on Facebook. We invite everybody to join. But there are many, many ways to interact and get some help and get access to wonderful coaches, entrepreneurs, mentors, people like you who, give out of themselves to help them become successful. That's the real key. So there's a variety of ways. We are trying to find many, many ways to help those people.
Absolutely. And I love that. It becomes this community of support, right? So you get the, the education component of it, but you also have the support of the community. Because, we're kind of look at this as a 360-degree view of those that are participating. Well, you're going to benefit from the actual education, certainly, but hey, there's a lot of stress involved here. There's, mental health. There's, that sense of isolation that I spoke about before, that many feel that when they're embarking on business ownership. So
you're teaching people to fish instead of giving them a fish, right?
That's it.
It's exactly what's going on here. And that's in my heart as it is in both your hearts, because I know you both very, very well, and you're incredible, generous people. That I love this again addition to everything else you've got going on, because not everybody at a 25-minute talk gets it, right? It's like you can't fill everybody in on everything they need to know. And you're talking about tens of thousands of people who are going to interpret in their own unique way. And the fact that you offer this in addition will help provide clarity, answer some questions that some people have, because everybody's going to be in a different spot, right? Some people maybe are already building a business. Some are thinking about it, don't even have an idea yet. There are various stages, and you're going to be able to touch upon all of that. This is an incredible event. This is a first time huge event. This is why I wanted to bring you both on today to talk about this, because it blows me away. What's happening here, and I know there's future plans to bring this to different parts of the world, and I know there's other parts of the world that are already asking for it. And because I know going forward, what were you looking to do?
Well, we speak to that, I also wanted to mention this about, in addition to what we're doing here, because everything is virtual and digital, and we have now the watch parties that are forming and gathering of people to come together to a central location to watch together, if you will. What we're finding is that we're able to now invite young people. So the ability to make this education and this educational experience available to young people, including high school and college age students in the world. Those that are maybe there are some young folks that are may decide that college is not the right path for them, and they may be interested in some of this information. And there may be those that are college, not everybody is thinking about college, or those that are in college may not know what they want to be when they grow up, but having the ability to be exposed to this type of information and learn from the experts, because this is who the caliber of people that are presenting and teaching, and take it, and maybe an idea will form within a high schooler to say, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought of that for myself. That might be something that I'm interested in, that I would like to explore. So opening it up to this younger generation, because who's to say that these young people become the future entrepreneurs? And so and the thing that we're finding with the folks that we're working with, these experts, their willingness to put it out there and say, take what you will, what is of interest to you, but to pay it forward to the next generation. So those are the things that may give me goosebumps to think about, to have the impact and potentially plant a seed. And Bill, you and I talk about, the mission of MetaEd, and that, knowledge provides options, and options provides freedom. So these young people will have, ideally, they'll be made aware of what some potential new options could be for themselves, and then provide them the tools to ultimately help them navigate their way forward.
Yeah, and I love how you have so aptly named them. We call them future entrepreneurs, and this is a very important matter you're talking about, because there is I would call it an epidemic, at least here in the U.S., where these kids are graduating college, are spending a ton of money, to go to
They
college.
don't have.
They get in their majors, and then they come home. Over 50% are moving home now out of college and not getting a job because they don't know what they want to do. And I have parents of friends of mine and other people that reach out to me and say, "Can you help my child?" And I say, "No, I can't. I tried, but I can't help somebody who doesn't know what they want to do, who doesn't really have a hobby, who doesn't really have an interest, who only studied what they studied in college because they thought it would look good on a resume, and none of the courses they took intrigued them in any way." Every excuse in the book, and to me, I'm like, I can't help you, but this is a kind of event that can, as you just aptly pointed out, touch somebody that may say, "Hey, there's something that interests me.
That's it.
There's a thought here. Maybe it's branding, marketing, web design, building an LMS, learning management system, whether maybe they want to get into the producing, maybe they want to get into speaking. There's any different angle they can take. And this event is going to provide them with some opportunity to acquire insight, maybe hope.
Yes.
Hope is a big one, right?
Yes.
We talk about that with
Absolutely.
MedEd partners. I love that now we're talking about college kids and maybe high school kids coming in. That's our target market to help that world.
Right.
And you talk, we provide knowledge, which gives you options and gives you freedom, but we provide knowledge.
Right.
And,
Bill, there's
and
more.
knowledge is what's needed.
There's more,
Right,
Bill.
Ron?
There's more.
Oh, there's always more with you.
We're not done yet. We have an hour.
There's more. So this is what we're trying to do. So the conference, people usually think about the conference, so the conference goes away in a few days and goodbye. No. So we continue with the community, we continue with the courses, we continue with the coaches. But there's a special program Deb and I are working on. It's called Entrepreneurs of Tomorrow. So what are we doing? We're inviting people like you who have the heart in the right place to go to high schools. And we're bringing a pedagogue out of Sweden, a wonderful woman who talks about, brilliance profiles. Her name is Katarina Hansen, John Carson, and she talks about, entrepreneurship, creating the entrepreneurship profile for people. We want to go to the high schools, and we're bringing the high school principals and asking them, so what are you doing in order to foster a business environment or welcoming entrepreneurship environment specifically for young women, right? So we're doing this here in the US. And when we started it, and people in Israel said, well, we speak English, so we'd like you to bring it here. Then people in Mexico and Argentina asked us for the same thing. And when we asked them, so what are you doing in your country to help foster, entrepreneurship for young women? And the answer was nothing. We're doing nothing. So I said, oh my gosh. So we are working very hard to put this together. The program will continue. We'll be extending invitations to people who are mentors, who have their hearts in this place. You know what, Bill? People tell me, let's tell women to go into STEM. Let's become engineers, and you're going to send a rocket to the moon. Who in the world is going to pay for that rocket? You know who?
Right.
That young woman, that young entrepreneur who's going to set up her business, who's going to hire people, and she's going to pay taxes. That who's going to pay for the rocket that's going to go to the moon. So we are going after, the high school principal to say, what can you do to foster an environment of entrepreneurship for those young women? Because that's our future. If we don't hand our hands now, it
is. Yeah. And people worry about whether or not Social Security is going to be around when you retire. This is the basic, right? The basis, and I love this. And you're going to tell me probably again that there's more. But let me ask you this. So for whatever reason, I fall ill, or I had a family vacation planned, or I'm unable to attend. Is there a way for me to be able to still see these speakers? Is there some way to go back? Even let's say I registered it and I did get to watch 2 days and missed 2 days. Can I go back and see those 2 days I missed? Is there an option for that?
So we're working on it because it's a live conference. So everything is live. So we're recording it, and we're finding a way to store, because the conference is free, but we're paying for all of this. So it's we're trying to find ways, and we're actually looking for people who would be willing to become sponsors, or have their booths, post a job, because we are actually paying for all of this. So we're finding ways and trying to get people, hey, this is for a good cause, help me out. But there's, of course, server space and all of the above. So we're
And folks,
working.
you got to understand, folks, it's free to you to attend, but it's not free to put on. There's a great deal of expense involved here to put this on to and support folks. And sponsorships are important, right?
Yes.
I think you've got some commitments for sponsorship. I don't know that it's still early, right? We're 3 months out basically. So it's still a little early, but that there's conversations with different organizations to become sponsors. And there's a lot of interest there, right? I'm from what I understand, a lot of conversations going on. I know we don't want to name names at this point in time because there's nothing locked in or guaranteed. But if there is somebody out there that thinks they would want to be involved in sponsoring some of this event, we would welcome you. Reach out to us at 216-ANET. Reach out to me, and I can certainly get a hold of Deb and Ram and help you along with that process, because this is something being a part of, I think, would be very, very special.
How many of these type of summits have happened in the past?
None that we could find. So it's the first time where you have a conference spoken in 3 different languages. So we're not dubbing people. It's not the old Bruce Lee movies. Hello, how are you? No.
Right. Watch out for Godzilla.
Right.
Godzilla and Ultraman and Ultra 7 and all of those. But it is really the first one in 3 languages. It is really a U.S. thing, but again, because here we had the opportunity to put together a team of people who are dedicated, who are passionate, people, like Bill, who loves to mentor, people like Deb, who cannot stop. She works like crazy. We work all very, very long hours, but I haven't seen anyone that would have this kind of reach. And that's why people are knocking at our door. I want this, I want that, bring here, bring there. And we're saying, wait, let us execute this one first, and then we'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, the specific languages is certainly, really, really important. As we, go elsewhere in the world, having it in there, that those native languages is important. But another thing too is that what we find is a key point of differentiation for what we're doing is the online education component of it, and the fact that once those courses, those instructors who are the experts in their field are building their online courses, those courses are available always. They're available on demand. So someone in just another, because I get this question a lot about if somebody were to actually want to take one of the online courses, how does that work? And so just very quickly, people will, once they come into the learning management system, that course is available to them, as long as that course is continued to be, live and hosted, it's available forever. So that potential student will buy that course and they can work with the content on their schedule. And so that's another thing that, that's very interesting, is that once it's in your library, it's always in your library. So as you can continue to take courses, and all that information just is sitting there waiting for you to work with it, to get, the necessary support that you need. And that continues indefinitely.
So Kent,
and I love that the courses, I'm sorry?
I said, Kent asked a question that I really would like to expand a little bit on that, on his question about the languages. So Deb and I learned a few things, and we took a few lessons. So for example, in the old days, the Bible was only in Latin. And how many people knew the Bible? Not very many, right? So then we said, well, when you go abroad and people say, I understand what you're saying, but they don't. But they're ashamed to tell you, I don't really understand your English. So I said, you know what? Instead of, pretending they understand, why don't we do that in their own language, so that they will be comfortable, so that there's no translation issues, and we got that. And then a lot of people don't actually have any financial skills, or they tell you they do, but when you ask them, what about your 13 weeks of receivables? How are you managing that? And they look at you and say, and what? So I said, no, we need to bring more people who are prepared to teach financial literacy skills, because people actually don't have them, or they think they do, but they actually don't. So we said, well, we need to do the languages. We need to bring the financial literacy. And you know what? Bill and Kent, sometimes people, how comfortable are you when you have a problem and you go out and say, hello, my name is Ram and I'm an alcoholic, right? Not very many people. So people are, ashamed, or, they're embarrassed. They don't tell you, oh, yeah, I know that. They really don't. So I said, what if we do it in their own language, in the privacy of their homes, and through this system where, I can take the course at my own pace. I don't have to be there at 8 a.m. I could have been at 8 p.m. So we said, let's make it easy. Let's make it affordable. Let's make it transparent, and let's make it in their own language. And that's how we're trying. Now, we took the learnings we got. Let's make it best possible way so that we are indeed making a difference in their lives.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, so the exciting thing is, and it's, I know financial literacy learning is never exciting, right? This is groundbreaking stuff, right? This is absolutely just, to me, brilliance, and just super exciting. So even if you don't want to be an entrepreneur or learn anything, you should still register, because you're going to be part of history, right? That's the way I look at it. Right?
You're going to learn something whether you like it or not.
Right.
Well, you know what? And it's funny you say that, because I actually said this to Ron the other day. There's something here for everybody. So even and back to the financial literacy, there's instruction, built specifically, financial literacy at homes, because everybody, if you're, even a business person or a consumer, these are life skills. You need to know these things, right. And so it opens up to and makes it available to the world, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
so Bill, I have to ask a question.
There are people out there that are not interested in bettering their lives. Trust me.
Right.
I've been a financial advisor, and you try to talk to people and they're like, no, I have no interest. Whether they think it's boring, or whether they think they're not going to learn anything, or whether they're just afraid to talk about a subject they don't know about. This is an opportunity to learn about things that you don't know about, so that you're more comfortable to help yourself position yourself better in life.
So Bill, I have a question for you.
Yes.
If I tell you, wait, there's more, will you be upset with me?
Can you turn it up a little bit? I have a hard time. He's real deep, low voice.
Yeah, if he says, wait, there's more, would you be upset with him?
No. Oh, I fully expected it.
Yeah, so we're doing something really, really special. Our conference happens, yes, it's an online conference, but it happens on the metaverse. So why? So when people say, well, the metaverse, why are you using a tool that is usually associated with exploitation, with distraction, for a good cause? I said, no, technology is neither good nor bad. And we are all dollies in the metaverse, and our conference is in the metaverse, but for a reason. Specifically because we're all dollies or avatars. The avatar is just a fancy way of saying we're dolls wandering around. Why the metaverse? Why did we decide to do that? We hired the best company in the US and in the world, called VFairs, to bring our conference to the metaverse. Why? Because in reality, when you talk to the angel investors, they tell you three things. I want to know what? If you have an idea, if it's worthwhile, if you have a product, do you have a prototype? And if you have an app, is it half-baked? Okay. They really don't care if you're white, black, brown, blue, purple, if you're straight, gay, gender, transgender, cisgender. So the goal of the metaverse is we use that as a democratization of the space. We're all dollies anyway. The dolly may be a polka dot dolly, okay? The avatars can be anything. So instead of thinking, you are not tall enough, you're not thin enough, you're too fat, you're too thin, etc., we're only concentrating on the three things that the angel investors said they want. The innovation, if it's worthwhile, if it's a product, do you have a prototype? If it's an app, do you have it halfway written? So the metaverse has a function, and we decided we will put our heads together. We will go to the metaverse, not the metaverse, the metaverse. We will make it work. It's going to be used for good.
It's used for good. And I love that. I love that because it levels the playing field.
Yeah, I just to tag that, folks should understand, money doesn't care about any of this either. Money doesn't care what color you are, what country you're from, what religion you practice, what gender you are. It does. Money doesn't care, and so it's important to learn and understand money, how money works. Because money, I always say money is not numbers and numbers are not money. And people confuse those two things. And I can give examples. I'm not going to. We don't have a lot of time here today left. But it's just so incredibly important to learn, because it is what makes the world go round.
Mhm.
And you can feel it now. We feel economic changes that have occurred over the past years. We felt it 12, 15 years ago. Major changes in the economy. We bounced back. Now we're falling back a little bit. We're going to bounce back again. But we have we still got 5 minutes, but
so everybody out there listening, this is an absolutely 100% no cost virtual summit that you can attend, and you can register, and registration's still open, right? There's still seats available.
Yep.
At VC, that's Victor Charles, so VC LatinX, all one word, VC LatinX.vfairs.com.
You can get on Google and just put in VC Latinx.
Yep.
It'll pop up.
VC Latinx, and it'll take you here to this incredible website.
And Deb has a show on Futures Television, as do I. We'll be presenting on there as well. I highly recommend you checking in. What's going on Futures Television.
Where can they find Futures Television, Val?
Well, that would best come from the head of Futures Television, Rob.
Yeah, so we are you can find us on the Roku stick, on the Roku app, or on the Roku.com, and on Apple TV devices.
Yep. So it's Futures. That's more than one. Futures Television.
Yeah,
good stuff.
So that's really what is in our mindset. So I work in futures. So I'm a member of the World Federation of Future Studies in the Association of Professional Futurists. I was part of the World Future Society. So I'm always thinking about the future, right? How can we build a better future? And there are futures, because people seem to think there's only one future. No, there are many. There are plenty. And you know what? If you think about the future and you like it, wonderful, work towards it. If you think about the future and you don't like it, you know what? Work harder to prevent it. So we want a future where, women are empowered, where our young women are becoming entrepreneurs, where, people who want to become innovators and want to be entrepreneurs, there will be. And that's what we're doing, because we see not one, but several futures. And we work together to make this a reality,
Yeah, it's incredible work that you two are doing and putting together. This is an amazing historical. I agree with you, Kent. This is a historical event.
Well, and kind of as we talked about last week with Stu Gold, this for you and the three of you, this is fuel for the next one. This is data. This gives you guys the ability to go, man, they loved it here. They're hungry. Look at the explosion again. So I always tell my kids when they were little, we'd be out hiking, and I'd say, if you want to change the world, throw a rock into that river, and that river will never flow the same again, because you put the rock in there, right? You all are throwing a rock in the river right now.
Kind of a boulder.
It doesn't seem so at this minute, but boy, the data you're going to collect and the lives you're going to change that are going to ripple, that the financial world and the financial direction of these countries that you're touching is not going to flow the same with what you're doing.
And that's so that's where we have Meta Ed Partners coming on and in support of these efforts of what they're doing. What they're doing is front running and getting the word out there about financial literacy, about entrepreneurialism, about other options than possibly college, or other avenues that you may not have thought of before, or maybe never even knew was available to you in many cases. And MetaEd's going to follow up with the support of these, as Deb so aptly names them, future entrepreneurs. Because when Deb and I put this together, we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to help people. We know people of all ages need financial literacy, but you know what? We got to start with a generation, and work the way up. And what Deb and Ram are doing is like incredibly supportive of what Deb and I are doing, and I know we're very appreciative of it. And this is, again, I think historical. This is incredible. This is cutting edge. And how many times do you hear of something of this magnitude going on to help the underprivileged?
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah, no.
Not unless it's an election year.
Yeah, unfortunately. Right? Listen, this has been nothing but a joy. Again, folks, you're going to want to go out, whether you are an entrepreneur, it's easy for you to say, or not. You don't want to miss this. Now, it's not next week. It's coming up in May. So there are still seats available. So you want to go to VC, that's Victor Charles, LatinX.com, .vfairs.com. It's on the screen right there. Copy that, go get a seat early. Get in and then request some time because it's a 4-day event. So you're going to want to request some time to set aside for that or at least calendarize it. So good stuff, guys. I can't thank you enough. It's just
we're going to revisit this as we get closer. I can't let Deb and Ram off that easy. We're going to come back and we're going to have even a more clear understanding of the specifics of what's going on as this develops. This is still in the developmental stages, although it's amazing the amount of work Ram and Deb have completed to this point. It's just incredible.
Yep. All right. Hey, that's going to do it for us, for all of us here at 21.6 The Net. We can't thank you enough for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the summit.
I hope you're all excited.